Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we have a early impression video on a house that I'm really starting to get into, and you're going to see more from this house on the channel. I can promise you that. It is from an Indian chap. His name is Prakhar Gupta, and his house is called Sherwood. And you can actually purchase his fragrances via Instagram. I have one review on the channel already of a fragrance that he made called Sar, and that is now sold out, unfortunately. But today we're going to talk about one of his newer releases. This is only the second video on the channel about this house, but more to come. And this particular fragrance is called Vetiver Royale. Vetiver Royale. And you see I put a pretty good dent in this decant that he very kindly sent me. And so this is a house that is very interesting to me. If you watched my video from yesterday, you know that I reviewed Nishane's Sultan Vetiver, so you can go check that out. Sultan Vetiver has a, I would say, split following by the community. One side of people really like it, and I actually really do like Sultan Vetiver. It's one of my, I think it's one of the better Nishanes that I've smelled. But the other side of people struggle with it because they say that it's harsh and synthetic and loud, and there's a lot of amber woods and stuff like that. So today I figured I'd come back to you with another recommendation. If you are one of those people who struggle with Sultan Vetiver, or maybe you really like the note of Vetiver, but you don't just want to go buy Guerlain's Vetiver or something like that. You want something a little bit different. This is going to be a little hidden gem for you. So again, this is Sherwood's Vetiver Royale. But first, before we get into this, I've been wearing it all day as my scent of the day. I've worn it to bed previously, so I know what it smells like. But I'm going to do a quick unboxing. This is from one of the perfume godfathers. He sent this my way. He does not want to be outed as far as who he is. So this is a top secret unboxing. I think it's just samples today. But he always keeps me well stocked on samples. I have more samples and stuff to discuss up here than I have time to discuss, really. I have more samples than I have time, if that makes sense. So let's just take a look and see what he sent me, shall we? Let's see what we have here. Okay. Here we go, here we go. Okay, here we go. There we go. So here's what we have. We have this. What is this? Well, we're going to find out what this is. So this is a Mask Milano sample set, which I think is damn cool. So here we have these little three bad boys right here. And this is, actually, this is, what is this? I don't know what this is. I don't think this is a Mask Milano set, though. I'll have to come back to this one. Burnt Remedy? Let me look these up. Now it's going to drive me crazy. Let's try this again. Burnt Remedy. Broken Anatomy Perfumes. So this is Broken Anatomy Perfumes. I've never seen this. I've never seen it in a sample set come in a gel like this before. It's kind of cool, I guess. So this is Broken Remedies. This is Chasing Memories. So first we have Burnt Remedies, which is cashmere, chocolate, hay, propolis, smoke, tobacco, and vetiver. And then we have Chasing Memories, which is bergamot, grapefruit, iris, orange blossom, absolute, sandalwood, and white musk. And then we have the final one, which is, I guess this is it, Brain Dance. They only have 3 fragrances. Brain Dance is aldehydes, ambroxan, anise, cardamom, geranium, and oak moss absolute. Okay. So that'll be a cool little house to get into. Maybe one day we will do a live stream or something. So then we have some Mask Milano fragrances. One is Tango, which I do not think I have a review on the channel yet, but I have a Discovery Atomizer of Tango, so I will be doing a review of Tango. It's a Cecile Zarokian creation that smells like a Cecile Zarokian if you know her work. And then we have Russian tea, which I actually do have a bottle of Russian tea. So Russian tea you'll be getting a full review on at one point on the channel. And now here's some that I've never smelled. So this is Love Kills. So Love Kills I have heard about, but I've never actually smelled it. And Love Kills is a 2019 release by Caroline Dumur, Turkish Rose, Ambra Rome, Ambrette Seed Absolute, Animalic Musk, Cedar, Egyptian Geranium, Indonesian Patchouli, Rose Oxide, and Turkish Rose Absolute. So we have Turkish Rose and Turkish Rose Absolute. Okay. And then finally we have Mandala. So Mandala, let me just save this. Mandala. Mandala. Here we go. 2017 release. Spicy, smoky, frankincense, angelica, nutmeg, more frankincense, cardamom, cistus, cedar, cinnamon, clove, ambergris, myrrh, sandalwood, and oak moss. Christian Carbonell. I have a feeling I'm going to like this one. This has been on my wish list, actually. So to get it off of the wish list and onto the decant list, I'm very happy about. Okay, so I'm going to put you over here. And then we have this, which I don't know what this is. I'm going to have to ask him. It looks like the name is rubbed off. And it looks like it's leaked a little. I'm going to leave that in there for now. I'm going to ask him what the heck that is. We'll come back to that. And then we have the new Mask Milano. I guess this is the new oud set, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, this is, so Mask Milano just released a series of ouds. So this is Tango Oud by Cecile Zarokian. So I'm guessing that this is Mask Milano's regular fragrances, but then with oud. I don't know if I like that. That seems slightly lazy to me, just on a base level, you know, no offense. I mean, you can't just add oud to any composition and make it work, in my opinion. So we have Tango Oud, which came out, all of these oud fragrances came out this year. I don't know pricing or anything on them, but Assam Oud mixed with what just looks like Tango's note listing. Part of the Ruby collection. Okay. So we have Tango Oud. We have Russian Tea Oud. It just seems so lazy to me. You're just going to take your fragrances and just add oud to them? I don't know. So Russian Tea Oud by Julien Rasquinet. Okay, I don't like this. I mean, I'm sure they smell great. I have a feeling they're going to be okay smelling, but I just don't like the whole idea. So then we have Mandala Oud. We have Mandala Oud. And we finally have Love Kills Oud. Okay. Love Kills Oud. Okay, fine. Have it your way, Mask Milano. Mandala Oud and Love Kills Oud. Okay, fine, cool. So we'll maybe make a day out of this, or I'll just start knocking out some individual reviews one of these days. But thank you, my friend. That keeping me apprised of new releases like this makes my life very easy. So very much appreciate it. Okay, so let's get to the video of the day, which is this Vetiver Royale by the House of Sherwood. So one thing about Prakhar Gupta's House Sherwood that I should mention with you is he is not a distiller. Okay, so even though his fragrances to me, you know, they feel like you're smelling something artisanal, the note listings are usually very grand, and the ingredients smell extremely high quality, and he is in India, so he's right next to probably many of these places where, you know, real rose oil is distilled and real Rojas vetiver and stuff like that. So his ingredients smell as if you're getting artisanal style distillations done, but he's taking these and sort of blending them together, if that makes sense. And his pricing is extremely competitive. I think Ajay told me he got the entire line, everything he offered, which is a lot of fragrances. I think Sherwood now has something like 10 fragrances or something, and it was like $600 for 10. And so the fragrances that this is going to be competing against are going to be 5 or 10 times as expensive as this. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Sherwood, I think, is amazing value for money. And so the fragrance basically, whenever you first spray Vetiver Royale, what you're going to get is you're going to get this slightly boozy smelling, almost like you're smelling a lacquered wood, okay? So it's almost like a inside of a box lacquered wood that's been maybe primered or painted or something like that with that woody vetiver. The woody in Vetiver Royale is not the green, fresh, sunshiny vetiver like I talked about previously on different videos. The vetiver to my nose in Vetiver Royale is slightly smokier and woodier, and that's usually how it stays throughout the life of the composition. And so if you really twisted my arm, just so you're sort of in the ballpark, okay, if you really twisted my arm and said, Ramsey, can you give us maybe a vetiver perfume or two that it reminds you of? So if you've ever smelled Vetiver by the House of Etro, I think this is one of the most underrated vetiver fragrances of all time. It's absolutely brilliant. If you're a vetiver lover, I would definitely urge you to try Vetiver by the House of Etro. But imagine taking Vetiver by the House of Etro, which is a darker, tarry, more resinous vetiver, very earthy smelling. This is a very earthy smelling vetiver, and mixing it with Roja's vetiver. And the reason I say mixing it with Roja's vetiver, well, there's a couple reasons for that. But the main reason that I say mixing it with Roja's vetiver, I'm just trying to get you in the ballpark, but basically Vetiver Royale has these elements of dark and light. That's the interplay to the way that my nose smells it, especially on my skin, is that there's this dark light interplay, and you have dark and you have lighter. You know, if you ever smelled Tom Ford's gray vetiver, there's some similarities to Roja's vetiver, and but it gets you in the ballpark. But there's another reason for me mentioning Roja's vetiver as far as a comparison to Vetiver Royale to Sherwood, and that is that Vetiver Royale is actually a Chypre. All right. So whenever I'm trying to describe this for you, I want you to keep it in mind that Vetiver Royale is a Chypre. And if you've ever heard me describe Roja's vetiver, I don't have a full review on the channel of Roja's vetiver, but I will very soon. I'm going to review this hopefully very soon. But Roja's vetiver to me feels like a Chypre style creation that he would make. You know, Roja loves his Chypres, right? So it really feels like this classical Chypre style with a little bit just more vetiver sort of put into the base. And that is actually a surprisingly proper, I would say, assessment of Vetiver Royale. Okay, this is a true Chypre through and through. In fact, if this was named something else, you would pick up the vetiver in the top. You'd maybe even pick up a little bit of the extra vetiver in the base, but there's a whole composition of the fragrance in the background. We're going to go through the notes as well. So there's 3 types of vetiver used in Vetiver Royale. So if you remember my Nichane vetiver review, I mentioned there's 4 types of vetiver used there. So there's 3 types of vetiver used in Vetiver Royale. But again, this is a vetiver for people who want a very naturalistic smelling. This house, from what I've smelled so far, has very natural artisanal smelling fragrances. They don't smell synthetic. They don't smell of amber woods and stuff like that. That's why I wanted to follow this up after the Nichane Sultan Vetiver review to give you guys an option. So if you want something different, and I promise you, you probably will not run into anybody wearing Vetiver Royale. This just came out in 2023, but Sherwood's fragrances, especially in the US, I think maybe in India it's much more popular, but if you're in the US and you order this and they ship it to you, or if you're in Europe and he ships it to you, the odds of you smelling like anyone else are almost effectively 0. I don't think the house is extremely popular yet, but it deserves to be. I think Prakhar Gupta's work deserves to get out into the public, especially value for money. And, you know, if you've ever heard me talk about Russian Adam and his ability to sort of create these affordable perfumes, he used to create extremely affordable fragrances, especially when they first came out. They were expensive, but they were not anywhere near what something like this is like today, right? Now, prices have gone up as time has gone on, but one of the ways that he's been able to sort of keep the pricing at least somewhat in check is because he lives in Thailand. And he sorry, I just had to see if someone was at my door. So he lives in Thailand, and he is living in a country where cost of living is much lower than like where we are in the United States. I remember talking with Russian Adam about like my mortgage cost and how, you know, food cost and all that here, and he was shocked by how expensive everything is. And so it's allowed him, I think, to keep pricing more manageable. Now, I know in the last year or two, prices have gone up. That's just part of it with inflation and everything that's gone on. But Sherwood's house is still extremely affordable. And part of that's probably because he's in India, and so his cost of living is not as expensive as, you know, where we are, for example. But he does not have like a site you can go to yet. You have to hit him up on Instagram, basically. Subscribe to his Sherwood Perfume Instagram channel, and then just send him a message, and he can one-off ship stuff to you. So this fragrance has 3 vetivers in it. One is Java Vetiver, the other is Haitian Vetiver, and finally we have Malaysian Vetiver. Now, Malaysian Vetiver is almost like this mix of Haitian Vetiver and Indonesian Vetiver, okay, if that makes sense. And so the reason that Roja's Vetiver, like I said, comes to mind is that it's a traditional classical Chypre with that vetiver base that's really amped up, and they're both, I would say, traditional classical Chypre. So let me go through the notes. All right, so the notes on Vetiver Royale. Remember, this is not a full review. This is just my initial impression. This is the first time today that I've had a chance to sort of wear it as my scent of the day. So the top notes are Java Vetiver, lemon, bergamot, tangerine, orange blossom, black pepper, nutmeg, and green tea. The heart is neroli, gardenia, jasmine sambac, French iris, labdanum, Java Vetiver again. The base is osmanthus, myrrh, musk, civet, patchouli, oak moss, sandalwood, cedarwood, Malaysian Vetiver, Haitian Vetiver, amber, leather, and tonka bean. So that's sort of the note listing, if you will. So the way that Picard describes this, and I actually think it's a pretty good descriptor. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. So the way Picard describes this is he said that the fragrance gives off a bit of the smokiness from the vetiver, and but also there's this dense, almost mixture of denseness and light coming through. So imagine this heavy, thick Chypre, but you know there's this light that's shining through, and that's actually a really good representation at the same time, because the vetiver has this tendency in this fragrance to sort of play peekaboo, if you will. It's really good. For a vetiver lover, I really think you would like this. So basically, the vetiver has this tendency to play peekaboo. And what's interesting about this fragrance to me, and for a vetiver heavy perfume in general, is the vetiver has this ability to sort of come and take the spotlight and then disappear and fade away. And then come and take the spotlight and then disappear and fade away. So you basically get this fragrance that when the vetiver recedes into the background, you can smell all of this other, almost like a scaffolding that's completely done, right? And you can see everything that's been completed in the background, and then the vetiver like steps in front, and all of a sudden you're smelling a fragrance that has this vetiver heavy tint. And then 15, 20, 30 minutes later, you smell again, the vetiver's receded, and you're back to looking at the scaffolding. And of that scaffolding, you can see the pepper, the green tea, the orange blossom, the French iris, the gardenia, the jasmine sambac, the leather, the amber, all of that stuff, right? So you can really appreciate the fragrance in the background, right? Not just as a vetiver fragrance, but as an entire complex Chypre creation. I think you did a really good job creating this, especially for somebody who he was saying that vetiver is actually very hard on his skin personally, that he can't really wear it. So he had a hard time creating a vetiver heavy fragrance for him personally, but I think he did a very good job. The fragrance develops to my nose into this sort of woody, smoky, earthy like nuance. Like I said at the beginning, in the opening, you almost have this enclosed, almost like if you've ever walked into an attic and it's extremely hot in there, and maybe the paint from the on the attic walls or something is old paint, and it almost feels like you can smell the paint, you know, because it's been enclosed. Even though it got painted 50 years ago, there's like this lacquered paint, woody-like smell, right? That is really what it feels like when you first spray the fragrance, first 10-15 minutes, right? This lacquered wood-like feel in the attic. And just like I mentioned when I did my Sultan Vetiver fragrance video, that I said Nishane, when they made Sultan Vetiver, they used the absinthe note in the top to perfection because it really complemented the vetiver, really added this dimension of greenness, which is many people, that's how they see vetiver, as a grass, as a green grass, right? And there is a bit to that, but there's also more to vetiver on the back end, of course. And what Picard did with Vetiver Royale is he used green tea. And green tea sort of plays the same role as absinthe did yesterday with Sultan Vetiver. But it smells much more natural. You know, there's not the harsher amber woods, which I actually don't mind in Sultan Vetiver, but I know some people it really puts you off. If you are someone that wants more of a natural smelling fragrance, this is a great sort of little bit of a hidden gem that nobody's going to be wearing or talking about. Very few people are going to be talking about Sherwood perfumes. That's going to change, I think, as more people get to know Picard's work. But yes, this is a much more natural smell. But the green tea sort of acts as the same, you know, it sort of acts the same role, if you will, as the absinthe. And so just imagine this sort of vegetal, green, grass-like smell, right, from the green tea. Very unique, very interesting, very different, very woody and spicy and smoky and all that stuff. And it just complements the vetiver beautifully. But what's amazing about the composition is when the vetiver steps aside, and you can really experience the floral heart, right? You can experience the beautiful French iris note, which I absolutely love iris, and it's sort of, you know, soft, powdery, spicy, slightly woody side. You know, just imagine this very vegetal iris note that you can experience, and then the vetiver sort of steps back in front. And then you're back to appreciating the woody, smoky, earthy nuances of the vetiver. So, and then it steps away, and you're back to appreciating the softer, powdery side of the iris, or you're appreciating the green tea if you're still towards the top, or you know you're appreciating the osmanthus. There is tobacco in the base as well. Same trick Guerlain's vetiver sort of played off of with the tobacco, but here there's also osmanthus, which is one of my favorite flowers. Although it doesn't give off this huge, you know, nectarine-like vibe, if you will. It almost just works in concert with the leather in the base, because as it continues to dry, you're going to get that ambery, leathery base, and most importantly, you're going to get that civet. And we all know those classical Chypres that use lots of civet. Like if you've ever smelled, this is a great classical Chypre, but done in modern times. I'll do a full review of this one day. This is Darren Allen Perfumes Chypre number 1. If you've ever smelled this and the way Darren Allen uses the civet, that'll give you a little bit of an idea of the way Picard used the civet in Vetiver Royale. And remember, this is a Chypre with a heavy vetiver tint. So that's the way you have to sort of approach it. It's not just an out-and-out vetiver, right? I would say that it's more complex than many of just the regular vetiver fragrances that you're going to smell. And again, value for money, through the roof. Absolutely, positively through the roof. So yeah, Vetiver Royale is definitely, this house is one I'm very impressed with. You're going to see more videos on the channel about it. Again, I get nothing for it. I don't own a single bottle. This is all I have, is this little bit of juice. Definitely not, there's no reason for me to lie over something like this. This is a house that I just really enjoy, and I think that Prakar deserves more spotlight in the community. These are the type of brands. Everyone complains about all the big brands, and then they go give Guerlain $500, right, for a fragrance, when you can get this for 60 or 80 or whatever it is, and support one of the smaller brands. And the ingredients in this smell so much more expensive than anything you're going to smell in a current LVMH release, in my opinion. So yeah, I love supporting houses like this. Prakar's a great guy. He is like a one-man operation, though, so if you write him, it may take him a bit to get back to you. That's the one thing I will mention. If he's swamped and busy, have patience. He will get back to you. People told me that, hey, I wrote him and I thought he just ignored me, and then like a week or two later, I got a message from him saying, hey, I set your bottle aside that you asked for, even though it's sold out, you know, this, that, or whatever. He'll do all that he can to try to work with you. But amazing perfumer, deserves the spotlight and recognition, and I hope you guys get to smell some of his work. I know there's some folks who subscribe to my channel who purchased fragrances from Prakar recently, and they've come back, reported back, and said absolutely amazing, value for money, the smell. You are exactly right, Ramsey. So if you get a chance to experience Vetiver Royale, I would love to hear your thoughts. I think it's for a Vetiver lover, if you're looking for a hidden gem, Vetiver, not the usual stuff. Even Nishane's Sultan Vetiver feels like it's a little usual. Even though it's a niche fragrance, you go look on Sultan Vetiver on YouTube, and there's 1,000 videos. Aaron Terrence Hughes and all these other people. And, you know, if you want something that's a little more hidden, a little more exclusive, check out Sultan Vetiver. Sorry, check out Vetiver Royale by the House of Sherwood. So, that is my quick review, my early impression. I hope you enjoyed the unboxing. The Mask Milanos we'll be talking about at some point in the future. And, you know, if you get a chance to smell any of Prakar's work, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So cheers, guys, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.